Thank you for having me. I'm excited for this opportunity and to be able to talk to you all more about the Area Agency on Aging of Western Michigan. That's our nice long name. And like Chris said, we've heard AAA for the auto insurance, and people also refer to us as AAA. So we are your local source for seniors. And today I'm hoping to talk to you a little bit more about all the different things that we offer and just go over some highlights of our agency, whether this is your first time hearing about our agency or you're familiar with us. I hope either way you learn something new. And I was going to say my PowerPoint wasn't moving forward, but here we are. So today, again, my focus is going to be on an overview of services. As Chris mentioned, I am our access manager in our care management department, and then I'm also a social worker by background. So fun fact for you. So our objectives for today, I will be telling you about our service area that we can provide our resources to. We're going to talk about the different services for seniors and individuals living with disabilities. I will give you a highlight of our care programs that we offer, which help people maintain their independence. And then we'll also talk about some of the different partner resources that we have at Area Agency on Aging of Western Michigan. And throughout this presentation, because that's too long to say, you'll see this acronym AAAWM, and you're just probably going to hear me say Area Agency. So before we get started, I do want to stress, and I say this every time I talk to groups, every situation is unique. There is not any cookie cutter situation when we are dealing with unique human beings and unique individuals. So we have a variety of programs and resources that are available both in-house from Area Agency on Aging directly and through our partner agencies, but it's not a one size fits all. We do hear a lot of people that hear about our agency from knowing another individual that maybe has utilized a program or a service before. And I just stress to people, just because somebody had one thing doesn't mean that that's what applies to your situation. So we really are very person-centered, and we really want to meet people where they're at currently with the needs that they have that will best benefit their situation. And then in addition to that, the different programs that we offer also have their own criteria and their own amount of services that can be offered. So one thing I always tell people too, and this has just come with experience at my agency, prior to the role that I'm in, I served as our outreach specialist for about 6 years at Area Agency. So that role involved a lot of networking and presentations and being present at health fairs and expos. And I would say a lot of times I had individuals come up and just kind of see a brochure name or a title of a program and say, oh, I don't qualify for any of that stuff. I would say, because of the wide variety of criteria that we see with the different programs, do not automatically assume that you or your loved one is or is not eligible for a program. We would be happy to have a conversation to talk about, again, your unique situation to determine what resources are available and what's the best fit for the need that you're identifying. And my other disclaimer too is that we do have wonderful programs, and I'm going to echo what Chris said too, is in the Western Michigan area, we are so fortunate to have the amount of resources that we do have available. But kind of say that with an asterisk, there may be some waiting periods for the funded services that are available to individuals, especially to seniors in our community. So even though we're going to talk about programs today, there could be a waiting time. So I always encourage people to become informed of the different options that are available, and also to call and plan proactively. We really like to talk to people about, what it is that their situations are and what their planning is. We don't want to catch people in crisis mode. We really want to try to get our information out there so that as needs change, or as people start considering seeking more help or more assistance, they're already familiar, or at least have a baseline understanding of what's available to them. So Area Agency on Aging of Western Michigan, again, nice long name. We've been around since 1974. I've not been around since 1974. So Area Agency on Aging is older than me. And our existence, our whole reason of being created was to help older adults and persons with disabilities live in their community with independence and dignity. One thing I want to know is every county in Michigan has an Area Agency on Aging that covers them. And area agencies are actually nationwide. The thought with creating area agencies on aging were really to be a resource to people so that they are able to live as independently as possible. We know that as people age or as they have different care needs, they still need to have those care needs met, but they would prefer to be in the comfort and privacy of their own home and their own setting that's familiar to them, versus having to live in a nursing facility. So area agencies were created to be a resource, to give options, and to help advocate for those that need that extra support to maintain being independent. So as we talk today, that is our focus, promoting independence. Excuse me. So our 9 counties that we serve, so we have a 9-county area within Area Agency on Aging of Western Michigan. These are highlighted in blue and listed in this bullet point. As I mentioned, every county in Michigan has an area agency on aging that covers them. So if you're looking at this map going Ottawa, Muskegon, and Oceana, you're surrounding them, but that's not your area. Correct. There's another area agency on aging that covers them. I couldn't tell you how this came to be. That was before my time, but I can tell you these are the areas that we're going to focus on today. So one thing, and I kind of hinted at this, but we'll expand on it further. One thing that we offer, and this is kind of a main service, I would say, is information and assistance. So as you saw on that first slide, as you see in our logo on the bottom of this slide, we really strive to be the source for seniors. We want to be that one-stop shop for information and for resources for anybody that calls us. So we have individuals, and when I say individuals, I'm saying anybody. So we get calls from seniors themselves, we get calls from family members who are calling on behalf of a loved one. We're hearing from doctors' offices, skilled home care agencies, hospice agencies, attorneys. We're hearing from all sorts of individuals that reach out to our agency to talk about a unique situation and determine what resources could be available to that situation and what programs somebody may or may not qualify for. So for our agency, pretty much everything starts with that first phone call. So as you can see here, we do have our number listed. So we've got the main local number as well as a toll-free option. We do have an information email address, and I always put a couple asterisks next to this because people do reach out via email to get some general information. But the one thing that I would caution against is sending any protected health information. So what we would not want to have over email is, hi, I'm reaching out on behalf of my mom. Here's her name, date of birth, address, insurance ID, diagnoses. We wouldn't want anything that specific coming through an initial email, only for the confidentiality and the protection of that individual. When we're on a phone call, we can have a much more detailed conversation and gather some of that confidential and protected information without it, being in any risk to be breached. But if somebody wanted just some general information or wanted to just start some conversation that was pretty basic, email is an option as well. And we want to make it easy for people. We do not want people to feel confused by this process. As mentioned, there's a lot of great resources in this area, but at the same time, it can feel pretty complex or hard to navigate, and we want to make that option easier for people. So one phone number for everything. And one thing I'll say is when you call, we have a receptionist that answers the phone first. If we determine that it's more of a detailed call that needs to go to our information and assistance team, that call gets transferred right away. But your first experience is you're talking to a person. So you don't need to know what department you're calling for. You don't have to press 1 for this or 2 for that. You're going to be able to say, here's what I'm calling for, and we will direct you to where you need to go. And then we have conversation, we have dialogue, and that tells us what kind of direction we're looking at moving forward. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the care programs that we offer, and I will give another disclaimer. My Choice Medicaid Waiver. This is a big program that we offer. It is statewide, so we offer this in the 9 counties that we serve. It is complicated. It's complex. It could be its own separate topic for an additional several hours. So I'm going to give you the introductory version to this program. I'm happy to answer any questions at the end. But again, if you're hearing this and you want more details because you're thinking yourself or your loved one really would benefit from this program, that's where I would encourage us to have a one-on-one phone call conversation. But My Choice Medicaid Waiver. If you've not heard of this before, this is a long-term care option. It's available to those that technically qualify to be in a nursing home for long-term care, but would like to remain in the community and have their needs met there. So the population that we are serving would be adults who are certified disabled if they are ages 18 to 64, or seniors age 65 and up. There are other criteria that somebody has to meet. We'll talk about that in a moment here, but somebody, in order to medically qualify, would have to be currently functioning at a nursing home level. That's pretty technical, so we try to make that pretty easy for individuals when they call us, but I will give you a little bit more info on what that means in the state of Michigan's eyes. And then there's income and asset guidelines for long-term care Medicaid that an individual would have to meet. And this is another disclaimer where I say it gets complicated. There's Medicare as a health insurance, there's Medicaid as a health insurance, and then there's about 30 different types of Medicaid programs in the state of Michigan. So it can be confusing to understand which one is which, and all of these programs have their own little rules that apply. So we'll talk about that in just a moment too on the next few slides. And then there has to be an ongoing need for the community-based services that My Choice Medicaid Waiver provides. So these 4 bullet points here, this is a quick snapshot of you need this in order to be considered eligible for this program. So we talked about that medical functional piece. So again, I've mentioned a couple times now that somebody needs to be at nursing home level of care. What I want to clarify is that somebody does not have to go to a nursing home first. There's a tool that's out there called a level of care determination. That's a statewide tool that determines if you need help in these areas, you meet criteria. That is the same thing that's required for this program. So sometimes I've had people say, well, I don't want to go to a nursing home first. Correct. We don't want you to do that either. So we're just using a tool to tell us, based on how you're functioning, does the state say you're eligible? Basically, that's the way I think of it. The state considers different levels to be doors. So again, some of the terminology is kind of confusing. What we look at here, I'll break it down a little bit simpler. This door 1, activities of daily living. We are looking specifically at how somebody is able to reposition or move in bed, get in and out of bed. We're looking at how somebody can transfer. So how do they get out of a chair? How do they get from chair to bed or chair to table, whatever it is that they might be doing? We're looking at toileting. So are they able to take care of toileting tasks independently, or do they need help with that? And we're looking at eating. Are they able to feed themselves or manage that task with or without help? So those are the 4 areas that if you need help in any of those areas, the state of Michigan considers that nursing home level of care. We also see people that have short-term memory deficits. A lot of times they might have a dementia diagnosis and they're not able to maintain their daily routine because of that cognition. Those are the 2 main areas that people need help with. They either need that constant cueing or reminders to maintain their daily routine, or they actually need some hands-on help with these different tasks. And again, if you think about it, these are the things that we need help with or we do every day. When somebody needs help, that's the areas that this program is looking to assist with. I put the other doors on here as just to show you what the state of Michigan is looking at. But again, this could be a whole separate topic. So this is just very quick glance at what's available or what's criteria, sorry. And then from a financial perspective, and this is again where it gets confusing, there are income limits and asset limits to qualify for this program. So from an income perspective, an individual would have to have less than or no more than $2,523 that they're receiving as gross income per month. So Social Security, including what Medicare takes out, pension, the full amount, not just what is the net in the bank account. That limit is really just set to be a limit. There's no cost to this program. There's no deductible for this program. It's just confirming that individuals who will participate are below that set limit. And then as far as the assets go, which assets would be, as you see in this bullet point list, cash, checking, savings, stocks, bonds, any investments, things like that. Anybody who is not married would have to be below $2,000 of assets to their name. And the married couples, there's different rules that apply. Now, this is a very quick snapshot that I'm just telling you as criteria. We do not expect that people are going to call our agency and know all of this. So our pre-screening process, which I'll talk about in a moment here, is meant to be broken down to make it very user-friendly, to explain the process. And part of our assessment for those that are eligible for this program is helping to do Medicaid applications. And a lot of times too, and you might have had this experience directly, if there's something that's a little more complicated or complex from a financial perspective, oftentimes elder law attorneys are involved to help with the Medicaid application, and we really work collaboratively together because Area Agency on Aging, while we can help apply for Medicaid, we are not legal advisors and we are not financial experts. So if there is a need to have a financial expert or that legal piece, that would be the route of an attorney. And then I mentioned as part of the criteria, there has to be an ongoing need for services. So this bullet point list here summarizes all of the different services that could be provided by the Medicaid waiver program. And even this list here, some of these names look pretty technical. So I will break it down a little bit further. A lot of our participants in this program need help with things like personal care, somebody to come in and get them ready for the day, help them get dressed, help them do their morning hygiene routine, help prepare breakfast and make sure they took their medications if they have any. A lot of participants require help with housekeeping. They are just not independent enough to take care of general housekeeping tasks. So while a caregiver is there, they might throw in that load of laundry or complete that load of laundry, vacuum or mop the floors, do some dusting. Just again, these day-to-day type of things that we all need to maintain our independent living. That is what My Choice Medicaid waiver services are looking to fulfill. Depending on a person's situation, they might benefit from home delivered meals, or you see here this personal emergency response system. That's like the life alert buttons that you wear around your neck and press if there was ever an emergency and you needed help. But there's a wide variety of resources and services that could be available in this program. So what we're looking for when we're working with individuals is somebody that physically qualifies, financially qualifies, and is going to need some of these or one of these services at least on what we expect to be a long-term basis. So then going into, all right, well, that was pretty detailed. That's word heavy. What do I do then if I was interested in this program? In our area, in the 9 counties that we serve, there are 2 waiver providers. There's us and there's Reliance Community Care Partners. The program is the same. The pre-screening process is the same, so it doesn't really matter which agency somebody contacts first. It's the same program. Most counties in the state of Michigan have 2 providers to give people options, and so that one agency is not the sole person that somebody needs to work with should they want to access this program. So I gave both phone numbers here because all individuals have to do to start this process is make a phone call to our agency. As we start having that dialogue, as we start talking and we're hearing about what the needs are, if it's sounding like somebody's needing help every single day, and even with supports, it's just not enough and their goal is to stay home, that's going to lead us into going through a pre-screening questionnaire that we do over the phone. That questionnaire is a lot more simple. So what I already presented to you, that's way more technical than our questionnaire. Our questions are about, when you're home, do you do laundry? Does somebody help you do laundry? How do you get your groceries? Does anybody help you in your house, or do you need help that you're not getting? It's really giving us a nice picture of daily life for that individual. I've gotten this question before of, do I need to fill out a form, or where do I get the application for this? There is no form or application or anything that needs to be completed. Those questions we're asking over the phone, that is the application process for the program. If we're talking to them, we find that they don't have Medicaid, we do ask some financial questions over the phone as well to see if they'll qualify from that perspective. I mentioned that too in presentations, just because I know sometimes that feels a little bit funny when you're on the phone for the first time and we're asking about income and we're asking what's in your bank account. But if it's for this program, that is something that we'll want to know so that we best know how to serve you. And then based on how those initial screening questions are answered, that then takes us to the next step, which would be adding that name onto our shared waiting list. Now, sometimes that list has fluctuated where we have been able to serve people right away. Right now, we kind of hit capacity on that list, even though we are still working on referrals. It's more in chronological order of when they're received and then when we can next serve a person. So right now, we have about a month to 2 month waiting period for this program. So if you're hearing this and you're thinking, I know somebody that would really benefit from a program like this based on what I'm hearing, today would be the day that I would start calling just to go through the screening process and get somebody added to that list. Once somebody's name comes up on the top of the list, an agency is ready to serve them. We always call the person first, make sure that nothing has changed, make sure they still want the program, but then they're ready to be assessed. So Area Agency on Aging, we will have a nurse and social worker from our agency conduct an assessment, and I'll say the assessment's pretty lengthy, but that is giving us a full picture of what is going on with that individual and what kind of help they need. It's at that time they're confirmed to be in the program, and then we develop what we call a person-centered service plan. Again, I'm saying a lot of technical terms, but the thing I would take away from this is person-centered. So even though we administer this program and assess, and we're helping to determine what services somebody could get based on that list that you saw a couple slides ago, it's really about the individual, and we want the individual telling us what they do or do not want as far as their care goes, what their goals are, what's important to them. So while we administer a lot, we want to work with our participants on what is the best quality of life for them of their perspective. So I do mention that, and we want to involve their support system. So if we're working with individuals who are telling us, my daughter is really supportive, and my son helps out a lot, and their spouses or their significant others are, really helpful as well, we want them to be present if that's what the individual wants. So it really is kind of a team effort of helping to keep somebody home when, again, their alternative might be being in a nursing home. And again, my disclaimer, Area Agency, we are not anti-nursing home. There is certainly a need for those that are that higher level of care that really need to have assistance around the clock all the time. But for those that can benefit from these supports and are able to stay in the most independent setting as possible, it's really a great option for people. And then this is a little bit lengthy of a slide, but the takeaway would be, once somebody is in the Medicaid waiver program, as long as they continue to qualify and they like their services and it's working for them, they can be in this program long term. Sometimes we have people that are in the program for a shorter amount of time, just given their situation, but we have had people in this program for the last 10, 15, very few, some pushing 20 years, which we've been administering this program for, I think, the last 23 years. So we've had people that for the last decade and above could have been in a nursing home based on what kind of help they need. But for the last 10 plus years, they've been able to stay at home, or they've been able to stay in their apartment. They've been active in their community because this program is meeting those day-to-day needs. So it's really been very successful. And really, it's kind of a cost-saving program, and it's a win-win-win. It's a win for the individual because they get to have their needs met in the setting that they choose to be in. And from a larger perspective, from the state of Michigan perspective, it's more cost effective to provide services to somebody in the community than to pay for a bed at a nursing home, especially if that's not where the person wants to be. So it's a great option to receive services on a long-term basis for those that qualify. And I will say too, with the Medicaid waiver program, we're very collaborative. We have partner agencies that come in and do the care for individuals, but we work alongside physical therapy, occupational therapy, hospice care, if that's involved, doctor's offices, anybody else that's involved. It is kind of a team effort to make sure we're always in communication so we know who does what and what can we still fill in with our program. Okay, I'm going to tell you, My Choice Medicaid Waiver, that's the heavy program. So we got that, we got that covered. It's a little bit smoother sailing from here. One thing I do want to mention is we do serve individuals who are in nursing facilities. And again, not anti-nursing facility, but we do see people in nursing homes that want to discharge to a lesser restrictive setting, whether that's their own home or finding an apartment or even moving to an assisted living, but they're having trouble leaving the nursing facility. It's just not easy to move from point A to point B because they need assistance, or they need to identify a place, or they're kind of at square one with finding housing. We do have a transition program geared towards people in the nursing home. They do have to have Medicaid or be eligible for Medicaid for us to be able to start offering services. But we actually assess people in the nursing home setting to determine what is it that your goals are, what are your needs, what are the barriers that you're facing, and then we can bring in resources from this program to tackle those barriers. I'll give you an example, probably, a lot of the resources that we pulled in situations, but I actually worked with this program for quite a while, and I worked with a gentleman who was in a facility in our area. He actually moved from out of area, or was admitted from out of area. After a long hospitalization and a rehab stay in a nursing home, he ended up having to give up his previous apartment. He really was very medically complex. The recommendation initially was for long-term care. It was not recommended that he leave and move to any lesser restrictive setting. But ultimately, he continued to do well, and that was his goal. So he still needed help. He was not fully independent, but we were able to help him find an apartment. We were able to help pay for that first month's rent and security deposit, because once you're in the nursing home for long-term care, your income is kind of tied up there. So we were able to help pay for that. When he moved to his apartment, we were able to get him services coordinated. So housekeeper, personal care, that emergency button I was referencing, those were things that he had when he went home. And then as part of his move, this program does have funds to help pay for things like the first couple of weeks of groceries, cleaning supplies, linens. We were able to get him a bed and a couch and a small dining room table and a couple chairs, because the apartment that he was going to was not furnished and he had nothing. So this program really can help individuals get back to the community, get back on their feet, and have a successful transition. So we do see a lot of people that do end up in a nursing home and they're saying, you know what, this is not my forever plan. I need some assistance. That's another area where area agency comes into play. And there are 3 local agencies that do provide this transition service program. So there's us, Reliance, Community Care Partners again, and then Disability Advocates of Kent County. It's the same program. So regardless of who you call, it will be the same assessment and services that would be offered. So we have another care program that is just not as involved as promised, but like the My Choice Medicaid Waiver program is. It is called Care Management. In Kent County, it's actually funded by the Kent County Senior Millage. And if you have not heard of the Kent County Senior Millage, that is actually local taxpayer dollars that go into this. And some of those dollars go into funding this care management program. So this is available for people age 60 and up who are living in their own home and own independent setting, and they're not able to take care of all of their needs independently. There's a higher asset limit to this program. There's not an income limit, but depending on where somebody's income is, they may be asked to contribute towards a cost share. That cost share still is meant to be very affordable. So a lot of times people, if they have to pay, might be asked to pay $20 a month. Well, compare that to $25 to $30 an hour to pay an agency privately. It's still very affordable and just expands the program to that many more people. But this program has a limited amount of help that it provides. It's typically about 6 hours per week. So it's not daily assistance for individuals like we would see maybe with My Choice Medicaid Waiver, but it is ongoing long-term services that help people get what they need to stay at home. So who participates in this program? We see individuals that, they're not homebound by any means. They're active, they're out and about, they're, busy people, but they might be using a walker and they cannot hang on to their walker and safely vacuum or mop their house. So this would be where a homemaker might come once or twice a week to help with those tasks. Same thing, they might be pretty independent, but their washer and dryer are on another level of the house and they cannot safely do the stairs. So somebody can come over and help with those tasks. From a personal care standpoint, we do see a number of people that, they can get up in the morning, they can get dressed, they can go about, maintaining a good hygiene routine, no problem there. But because of their needs, they may need help bathing. So a bath aide might come over once or twice a week to help them with that task. So it's not as much care, but the nice thing about this is it is ongoing care. And just like you saw with that Medicaid waiver slide, this program is something that starts with an assessment from a nurse and social worker from our agency. Area agency is the one that's helping to coordinate the care and arrange all these services. And then part of our involvement is doing contacts every 30 days, making sure everything is going okay, being a resource to that person. If they start to need assistance with anything, whether it's more care or just navigating a bill or needing a local community resource, we're their point person. So there's a lot of benefit to being in this program. Right now in Kent County, we have a pretty lengthy wait list. We have a lot of demand for this program, and with budgets and staffing, it just gets to be at capacity. So it is about a 10-month waiting period. That's why I go back to telling people, if there's ever anything that you're thinking you or your loved one might need and you're not in a crisis situation, you can think proactively. I would start making those calls to be able to go through the screening process, get that name on the wait list. If we call people now and they change their plans or they no longer need any services, no harm. We'll move on to the next person. But I would rather have somebody have the opportunity to have services be offered to them rather than wait until it's too late and now they're really having a difficult time. Now, we talked about the care programs, and then we do have kind of what's considered a unique program from our agency called Choices for Independence. This is available to anybody in any of our 9 counties age 60 and up who are living in an independent setting and maybe are having difficulty taking care of their needs, but they want to stay home. They want to stay using their own personal and community resources. What you don't see under qualifications here is anything about finances. That is because there are no financial limitations to this program whatsoever. What this is, though, and how it's a little bit different than the funded care options, is it's an individualized consultation with that individual, and again, whoever they would like to have present. And the focus is talking about what are your short-term needs, what are your long-term needs, what resources do you have in place between your support system, your financial situation, any other connections you might have, what community resources can we discuss, and then let us equip you with the resources that best make sense to your situation. So earlier we talked about that information and assistance piece that we do over the phone. I think of this as kind of one step further of actually being able to do a consultative type of meeting that's a little bit more detailed of, you tell us what's going on, you tell us what your goals are, and then let's start figuring out what some of the pieces to this puzzle are. This program is free of cost, and again, no financial limitations. So we've seen people that do qualify for other programs that we offer, and we can help make referrals on their behalf. We also see people that, assets wise, they might not qualify for any of the funded programs, but we can still help them plan accordingly based on what they're reporting to us, what their goals are. I gave you a little sneak peek of the Kent County Senior Millage when we were talking about care management, but this is some more information on what the millage is as a whole. So in 2020, it was up for renewal, and we actually did have an increase. There are funds that go to a variety of service. I put variety because we just got a new list come this calendar year. So, we're only 12 days in. So I have not counted each individual service, but I know in 2021, we had 57 different funded services for people age 60 and up in Kent. Not all of them are related to care needs. That's pretty much what area agency covers, but a lot of these services are related. We've got somebody that helps out with financial and daily money management. We've got a long-term care ombudsman. We have senior centers. We have home delivered meals. There's transportation options. So there are so many different things that are funded by 30 plus agencies that are working to support people who are in Kent County, again, age 60 and up. When we were planning this presentation, I told Chris, I didn't have any updated handouts yet. And then as of yesterday, like mid-morning, we had the updated handouts for 2022. So hoping we can get those shared and get you that, because it's a nice 10-page document of all of the different funded services, a quick little description of what each thing is, and then the phone number to all of these places. So if somebody
I did share that with them yesterday. I emailed it out to everyone. Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. So
Yeah.
you've maybe seen it at this point because you got it over email. But if you have not seen this list, you can see that any of these agencies, if you're looking and you're like, you know what, I don't need any help at home, I'm okay there, but I am looking for something to do more with, my social engagement. I'm going to check out a senior center. Great. The phone number is right there. You can call them directly. So we really want to make these services very accessible for people in Kent. And it's just such an easy list to have on hand. When I first started at this agency, I always reference that this is so much better than a phone book. I'm not even sure phone books are a thing anymore, so I'm not going to say that. But I think it's a really handy list to have available, whether it's something you need now or something you might think of down the road. And then I'll talk a little bit, I know that was pretty care heavy, so I'll talk a little bit too about all the other things that Area Agency on Aging offers. And Chris also gave a sneak peek on this earlier when she had mentioned our Caregiver Resource Network. So the Caregiver Resource Network itself is professionals working with caregivers to any capacity. And really, we do like to stay engaged. We do like to network so that we can know of each other's resources. If we're working with an individual or we're working with a family and they're asking for something that's not necessarily in our direct scope of practice, and when I say our, I'm not just talking area agency, I'm talking any professional in this network. If it's not our direct scope of practice, by being intertwined with each other, we can easily say, that's not exactly what we do here, but I know the resource in the area. Let me get you connected. So it's been great to be able to engage professionally, but also there is a Caregiver Resource Network website that does have a lot of resources and support group information specifically for caregivers. And then from that, we've developed the Family Caregiver University, which is, we call it university. There's 12 classes offered throughout the year. It's monthly classes. People do not need to attend every single class. They can, come and go as they please, depending on what the class topic is and what their interest is. But we do try to cover a variety of topics, anything from legal to the in-home care options like we're talking about, to transitioning to long-term care and mindfulness and self-care as a caregiver. I mean, there's just so many different things that we like to cover. And although we call it Family Caregiver University, the way we think about it, all of us are caregivers to some capacity, even if it's just there's individuals in our lives that we check in on from time to time. We worry about our friends, we worry about our family. That's, by definition, is caregiving. So this is a very open-ended university. We'll say anybody is welcome to attend these classes. It really is geared towards those family caregivers, but it's been very beneficial for all who attend. And right now they're virtual, just as are a lot of things. So they're pretty accessible at this point as well. So if anybody was ever feeling like I'm in a caregiver situation and I really would like some more support and some more resources for myself, Area Agency might have some options for you. And then we have healthy aging classes, which right now our classes continue to be held over Zoom. And I was thinking of writing bullet points of the names of classes. And then I decided I'm going to go to our website and just screenshot the calendar, because in looking at this, even though we're not having classes in person, we are busy. There are a lot of different types of classes that are available. And I wanted to show you that. They range from sit and be fit or balance classes to yoga. I know we've done different levels of Tai Chi. We have just kind of enhanced fitness classes. So these are evidence-based classes that we do. We have a nice wellness room at our office when we open up to the public at some point. But we do a lot of these over Zoom right now. They're open to anybody in our area, typically geared towards people age 60 and up. But if somebody was younger than that, we're not going to prohibit them from participating. And we do offer trials for classes too. So if somebody was like, I'm not really sure what it is that I need, or if this is my right fit, we do encourage people to reach out to our Healthy Aging team, talk about kind of what your needs are so we can help, direct you in the right area or the right class that will most benefit, what you're describing. And then before committing to a class, we do have an opportunity for individuals to just try it out and see, is this really what I'm looking for? And am I ready to sign up for a series? So there's a lot of this information on our website, but I wanted to give you a nice little snapshot of what this looks like and what kind of activities we have, even when we're not able to be in person yet. Another area that we focus on at Area Agency is the Kent County Elder Abuse Coalition. This is actually a coalition that our agency has started, and then we've partnered, I don't know if partnered is the right word, we've collaborated with a number of other entities out there that would focus on the topic of elder abuse. So we work very closely with the Kent County Prosecutor, with Adult Protective Services, with some home care agencies, with the guardianship program, with our long-term care ombudsman, who really is an advocate for individuals in facilities. So there's quite a few people involved in this. And the goal of the Elder Abuse Coalition is, one, educate. We want people to know what elder abuse is so that we can ideally stop elder abuse, but also advocate and be aware of what's going on. So it's not just abusive or neglectful situations, it's all the scams that are out there. I think all of us have heard of some scam from time to time, and we hear of different scams that are trending. The contractor stuff doesn't seem to be as popular as the romance scams and people trying to befriend each other online, and then somebody finds a companion and then starts giving them money, and now they've actually been exploited. So this group really tries to stay in tune of what is going on so that we can continue to educate and help people be aware of what is potentially a scam, so they are not in a vulnerable situation. So this is through Area Agency on Aging, but I did put their unique website down below, which is the protectkentseniors.org. So there are a lot of good information and resources there. And then we know people, especially our seniors, as they are looking at Medicare options, whether they're new to Medicare or they're trying to understand their Medicare, or they're trying to determine, are there any plans I can enroll in that help cover my Medicare co-pays, anything like that. We do have what's called MAP, the Michigan Medicare Medicaid Assistance Program. And this is actually a federally funded program. So in the state of Michigan, it's called MAP. Other states might have different names for it. Well, obviously, they're not going to call it Michigan. But this is free and unbiased information that we can provide to individuals, family members, caregivers, even other professionals as needed, specifically focusing on Medicare and Medicaid. It's not affiliated with any other or with any insurance companies. It's just Medicare, Medicaid information. Just like I said before, with our department not being legal advice or financial advice, that would be true for MAP as well. So we're there to help navigate through like open enrollment, which just ended, but we do look at Part D plans with individuals and help them enroll in their next plan for the next year, or find a new plan if they need to. But if somebody, came in and said, I need advice or I need some legal help in spending my money down, that's going to be beyond our scope of practice. That's more of a legal thing, and we would recommend an elder law attorney. But a lot of the Medicare questions and Medicare programs that are out there, our counselors will work with individuals directly to be able to assist them with this. We offer presentations specifically about Medicare as well, if anybody was ever interested in having a presentation. And then we do try to do a lot of fraud and abuse awareness as it relates to Medicare, because there are a lot of dollars that are lost every year in the nation to Medicare fraud. For those that are beneficiaries, I hear all the time, my phone never stops ringing. People are calling about a back brace I don't need, or some pain cream I don't need. Those calls, for those that answer the questions, they're giving their Medicare number during that call, whether they get that back brace or not. And now we've got these scam fraudulent companies that are billing Medicare for this back brace that was not doctor ordered and not needed. And now Medicare is paying that. And now we've got a fraudulent system going on. So there's a lot of education and advocacy that MAP tries to do to help people really understand what Medicare is supposed to do and solidify that Medicare is not calling you to get your number. Medicare already knows your number. So that really is I would say quick, but we're 45 minutes in, right? So a quick summary of some of the different things that are offered at Area Agency on Aging. I did want to leave time for question and answer. So I will say, yeah, Chris, if you want to field some of those for me, that would be really helpful. And then we'll see where we go from there.
Yeah, so if anybody has, I have some questions that people have put in, but if you have any, feel free to just put in the Q&A. You talked about some of the programs that have waiting lists. Are they prioritized based on need or when they get on the wait list?
Yeah, so the way that these programs are structured, there are some priority situations. What would give somebody priority if they are looking to pursue the waiver program and are in a nursing facility and they have Medicaid and we're working with them while they're in the nursing facility with that transition program? That gives them priority status. So when they discharge, they can get those services started right away.
Mm-hmm.
If they're just home, not in a nursing facility, what would give them a priority status is actively working with adult protective services. So if adult protective services is called in because of most of the time, it's more of a neglectful situation. The person has not been able to take care of themselves or their support system has not been able to properly take care of them. A call is made to adult protective services. We get a lot of referrals from them. And when they're open, that is a priority situation. But for the most part, everybody that's on the wait list has been screened and everybody has a need that's not being met. So then it goes in chronological order. So when we have the next availability to offer an assessment, it's kind of that first come, first serve almost, where the next person up on the wait list is going to be offered that assessment. It's a little more complicated than that because we are like right now we're processing like 25 people right now. But so it's not just always one person, but it does go in that chronological order. And then the same is true for our care management programs, where unless there's an APS situation or a nursing facility situation, it's chronological order. Mm-hmm. And I do want to mention the lengthier wait list. We do try to call individuals every 90 days just to make sure that, yes, you still need the services. Yes, you want to maintain your place. And then if we're hearing in that call that anything's different, we're going to talk about that further just to see if there's other resources we can offer in the meantime, or, do they have a priority situation now based on what's happening?
So if I'm interested in one of the programs that you offer, like exercise or yoga, I think you mentioned, are those in person now? And are those at Area Agency on Aging? Or are there options to do online and in person?
Yeah. I'm going to back up to this slide here. So if somebody was brand new to like a fitness program, they wanted to try out one of the wellness programs, they are all over Zoom right now. Our building, even though we have a huge, beautiful wellness room and our building used to be booming, because of the rates of COVID in Kent County right now, we're fully operational, but our building continues to be closed to the public. So our classes are all over Zoom. What I would recommend, it's kind of hard to see down below, but we do have a Healthy Aging email address. But then if you go on our website, which is that AAAWM.org, there's actually just a Healthy Aging tab. It's kind of smack dab in the middle. There's a lot of information on there, not just the calendar, but who to contact. And if you're new to a class and want to give it a try, then there's contact information on who you might want to talk to first.
I know one of our people on the webinar today, Tom, has taken fitness classes and still does. So I'm going to ask him to unmute and see if he'd like to share a little bit about his experience. Can you talk, Tom?
Okay. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. I'll be glad to do that. I started taking the classes before the pandemic hit and was taking them in the building. I took the fitness class first. and still take it. I mean, I still do it on Zoom. But one of the things that really impressed me about the classes is the fact that it is not like if you join a gym, you kind of feel like you don't fit in because you're not doing it as fast as someone else, or you're not doing, something just exactly right and somebody jumps all over you.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen in these classes. The instructors are very friendly. They know what they're doing. They are trained in any of the classes that they give. They take ongoing training. I've taken the fitness class. I've taken the Tai Chi class, and I enjoyed both of them. As a matter of fact, this past October, we were able to have the Tai Chi classes in the parking lot
Wow.
at the building.
About that.
And that was really nice because those of us who were taking the class and only knew each other through Zoom were able to interact individually, just like if you were in a building, doing whatever. They like last October, well, also this October, another thing we did in October, the fitness class took a walk in 2 parks on Mondays.
Oh,
So, which was again outdoors, and they had both a short distance in each one of the parks and a longer distance. So again, if you're not a, gung ho, I gotta do 25 miles, so somebody, you had an opportunity to do it. And the instructors make all of the classes actually fun and easy to do. And I noticed that they have added 2 new ones that I want to try. Well, one of them is if you are unable to do an exercise class standing, they now have one you do sitting.
wow.
So, and also something called Muscle Boom or whatever. And it was the one I want to try along with the others. And also, it's very easy in the classes to get to know the other people. And before class starts, when Zoom opens, there's a lot of visiting back and forth between the instructor and the students. So.
Well, that sounds like a resounding testimonial, Stephanie.
Yes, I was going to say thank you so much for sharing that. And you brought up a couple of excellent points that maybe I should add into my presentation is, I think Barb, who is our contract person for our Healthy Aging program, she has her quote of, you start where you start, you use what you have, you do what you can. So this is very much of your well-being and what you're able to do. And like you said, Tom, not a gym, not a competition. It is your fitness experience, your wellness experience, in addition to having that social piece and making friends and, building a little fitness community.
Right.
Another thing I would mention about the classes is most Medicare Advantage plans have free, you can get it free through a program through your Advantage program. But even if you have to pay for the classes, they are not that expensive. So it's like I don't know, $40 for a quarter or something like that. Not, it's like, it amounts to basically about $3 a class. If you don't have the Silver Sneakers program or another program on your insurance, on your Medicare Advantage plan. So
I was just thinking, Tom, you're hired. You're joining me next time.
I have another question. If a mother who's 83 and a handicapped daughter who's 61 are on a low fixed income, live together, can they qualify for the cleaning and cooking because they live together? So if they live together and they both have needs, can they qualify?
Yes, that's a great question. So we do have individuals, like with our care management program, where somebody's really, what we're looking at is the person has to be age 60 and up, and then be below our asset limitations, and then want to receive the services. So we do have a number of individuals that we serve, whether it's parent-child relationship or married couple where there's multiple people in the household that qualify and both have needs. So we actually have some scenarios where we've got somebody in the household who's participating in the waiver program and another one who's in care management. That is absolutely feasible. What it comes down to is that we are providing services to the individual that needs it. If there's multiple people in the household, sometimes especially when it comes down to housekeeping, it feels a little confusing, because there's a shared space. And if there's individuals in the house that also should be cleaning the shared space, our services are about that individual who needs assistance for themselves. So that's why we always look at it with that person-centered approach of what does this situation look like? What are this individual's unmet needs? Or sometimes what are these individuals' unmet needs? And then how can we have our caregivers come in and support them?
Yeah.
Were there any other questions?
I think that's it, Stephanie.
Wonderful.
I want to thank you so much. I mean, you were just really a wealth of information. I guess there's your contact information if people do have any questions.
Yes. Yeah. I wanted to put that back up there. So if you ever wanted to follow up with me directly, you already saw our website and our phone number, but I gave you every possible way to contact me. If you want to mail me or call me or email me, whatever you need. I'm happy to follow up and talk about any situations or provide resources whenever needed.
Well, awesome. Again, thank you everyone for coming. It has been recorded and it will be on our website. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
thank you.